But in terms of goal 17 on the SDGs and partnerships, it's broken down into 4 main areas that can help us kind of frame how we can look at partnerships with the private sector as civil society. The first is finance. So promoting multi-stakeholder partnerships in terms of financing for the goals. As mentioned earlier on, aid is changing, and even existing aid models are never going to get us near to delivering the goals. An estimate of current aid expenditure by 2030 gets us to about $2 trillion. The expected cost of achieving the SDGs is close to $7 trillion. So there's a huge gap here. So our traditional method of applications for donors is still very important, but we know it's not going to get us all the way there. So if we want to participate in achieving, or in contributing to that gap, I should say, then we are going to have to start looking at who else are big players in this in achieving the goals, and that's the private sector. So the UN, I should say as well, that we're also looking at having to work more closely with the private sector. So this is, obviously it works a little bit like a trickle down in a way that the UN might have access to some of these bigger companies to work with them. Some of the international NGOs who are in the room here today, I know, have partnerships with large companies. And the idea is we want to accelerate local, national NGOs, civil society in Vietnam, partnering with local or even international businesses in Vietnam. So one way we're doing that is we've set up the UN Social Impact Fund, which does look at different private sector initiatives and partnerships that help achieve the goals and connect them to investors worldwide. So that's a good opportunity for you to start looking at potential partners in the private sector, and your expertise in this area is quite clear. You are the development experts. You're the ones that can measure the impact, you can analyse the impact against the goals and the indicators. So that's just one opportunity. There's also the SDG Fund, which again is an online platform, or it's a platform that connects donor money with private sector money with individual money, such as crowdfunding. And again, an opportunity for you to look at a business that shares your common values and goals, and again, how you can partner with them in terms of enhancing their impact while being the business side to them. UNDP in Vietnam ran a SDG innovations competition last year, looking for ideas on accelerating the SDGs, especially through a business model. And we noticed that there's 2 types of people working in this area in Vietnam. There are businesses who are trying to enhance their impact, and largely they focus on the return with a small impact. But there's also civil society organisations who may be struggling for funding, who are trying to move into trading activities to ensure sustainability. So you've seen this trend in Vietnam last year, and we saw some of the NGOs have fantastic impact ideas, but obviously lacking in terms of business. So we had the challenge last year, and it's something we noticed for next year's plans, that we really need to focus more on enhancing the business and business skills or acumen or focus of civil society and NGOs in Vietnam, because there's huge potential there. So that's just some points on finance. The second target of the Goal 17 is to focus on partnerships around technology. I won't speak too long on this because I know MSD have already focused on this with you previously, and a lot of Vietnamese civil society organisations are already embracing IT. There's 2 things to focus on here in IT. I would say, number 1, in terms of your operations, civil society operations, there's huge potential for benefit in kind, not just through funding, but through companies such as Microsoft or Google or Intel or Cisco. There's opportunities for them to contribute to enhance your operations, make them more efficient, so you can focus more on your impact. And I know some of you are already doing this. We'd just like to stress how important this is. We at the UN, globally, regionally and nationally, are already doing this. We're very lucky that we have support for some of these larger IT companies that can save on some of the costs, improve efficiency, and give us more time to focus on what's most important. Secondly, technology companies can seriously enhance your own impact directly, not just in terms of your operations, but by using new technologies. We're working with the Ministry of Science and Technology next year to try and connect civil society with some of these technological innovations in Vietnam. I don't confuse any of you now, but you may have heard words such as cryptocurrency, or blockchain, or even things we'd be more used to, such as 3D printing for prosthetic limbs, or even using drones to deliver medicines to isolated areas, which is something very common in sub-Saharan Africa. So these are just some of the technologies that you maybe start thinking about how you can use technology to enhance your own impact. And again, looking and working with smaller technology businesses to do so. The third area is in terms of capacity building. Again, I won't spend too much time on this, just move on to some of the key messages, leave some time for questions and answers. But technology, again, can provide huge opportunities for enhancing the capacity, maybe outside of how you traditionally thought. The massive open online courses you may have heard of are online courses in all sorts of development issues and trainings that you can explore for your staff and for yourself, that maybe can save time and cost in terms of building capacity. One thing to look at in terms for private sector partnerships is that capacity building works both ways. So yes, IT companies can work with you to enhance their efficiency in their operations, but also we see a trend here in Vietnam where civil society organisations recognise that businesses have a huge impact on the populations that they're trying to serve, so that they're offering training to businesses. We saw it last year with some organisations involved in LGBTI, working directly with large multinational companies to offer training on how they can promote diversity and inclusion in their business. So again, think of capacity building both ways. Think of how you can serve the private sector in terms of achieving your development objectives or whatever it is. We ourselves as UNDP Viet Nam, as I mentioned before, last year we did a series of training workshops with civil society and businesses to get them both try and share a common goal, an actual SDG goal, so they can recognise how they can work together. So a civil society can work more on thinking about possible business activities that can help them achieve their goals, and businesses themselves can concentrate more on CSR or other projects that help them achieve their goals. Finally, the goal 17, the fourth area, is just systemic issues that are preventing stronger partnerships. Now these go through things like policy and coherency. We're working with MPI, we worked on the SDG Action Plan for Vietnam. We're also working with the National Assembly on doing a readiness assessment on the SDGs to see how much they understand them and how ready the National Assembly is to implement SDGs into their decisions, into the reviews of laws, etc. We're also the multi-stakeholder platform to facilitate just what I spoke about earlier on, the meet to meet the SDGs, which is a multi-stakeholder platform with the private sector, UN agencies, development partners and civil society, just to begin that discussion. We know it's early days here in Vietnam, there are no very strong mechanisms yet, but this is an important starting point to at least first meet with businesses and see if you share common values. So finally, in terms of key messages for you, I would say first of all, don't wait for an invitation or some perfectly established mechanism for this. Establishing a partnership with the private sector is very different to what you're used to. There is no real call for applications. A lot of times it's you doing the research, reaching out for a meeting and beginning a discussion. And sometimes that won't lead to funding after year 1 or year 2. But you build up a relationship, you realise the shared common goals and values you have, and from there they can bring you along the journey and you can see what you have to offer them as well. So again, don't wait for it. I think this code is a very important starting point before you meet the private sector to see, to kind of prepare you for this difference in power or this difference in influence. So again though, read this, use it, but don't stop from taking the first step of just reaching out to a company. No company is perfect when you meet them first. There may be issues with their supply chain or their behaviour. Maybe through your working relationship with them you can change that. Secondly, I would say, please start framing your work through the SDGs. That's very important. Use the SDGs. That's what really provides a common value between you and your different partner, whether it be the government or the private sector. The private sector are already doing this. There's a wonderful example in Vietnam, and our CSDS are involved, we call 2030 Youth Force Vietnam, which is over 45 different youth-led organisations who have framed their activities around the SDGs, and they develop networks around the SDGs. So, for instance, Goal 7 and 13 on clean energy and climate change. There's any number of organisations in the north, central and south of Vietnam who are working together to see how they can share best practices, opportunities, resources, volunteerism. Something that I really encourage you to do, and the goals are a very, very good framework for that. Finally, again, embrace technology. So we're looking for partnerships with the private sector, embrace technology to ensure your efficiency, and embrace technology to really enhance your impact by using what's out there and discovering how some of these new technologies that you hear about online or whatnot, how they can be broken down to facilitate your objectives in your work. So thank you very much, and look forward to your questions.